Hi, everybody. My name is Miloš Dostanić, and I'm working in Quantox as a UI designer last 1.5 years, I think. The main theme would be explaining why is Adobe XD good for designing UI and UX instead of Photoshop. At first, I will start to explaining a little bit about design itself, because it's a basic to for me. It's much easier to explain later why we should use Photoshop and when we should use Adobe XD. Okay, at first, about 15 years ago, you all know that design style was much different than now. I Google today what is a terminology for this, and I think it's realistic or something like this. And that kind of style was with a lot of graphic effects, drop shadows, patterns, and everything that it was helpful to present this design as much as realistic like in a real life. But when smart mobile phones comes out, that style has changed a lot. Radically, and now it's familiar as flat design. Flat design, I think that you all know it's more minimalistic instead of this realistic style, which means there is not so much graphic effects like glowing effects, drop shadows, and patterns, and so on. So this is it. And Photoshop is very popular software. It's all around software for making design, graphic design, web design. It's mainly for image editing software, as well as for 3D. And because of all that, Photoshop became so heavy tool with a lot of options, with files so big. For example, I think when you compare a file, a PSD, with XD file, I think it's a difference maybe 10 or 15 times PSD is bigger. Also, Photoshop is we need a very good machine to work with Photoshop, especially if we use multiple artboards and etc. So let's go forward. Performance. As I mentioned, Photoshop requires a lot of memory, good processor, and everything that should help us to work fluently. And today, I think its main purpose of Photoshop is image editing. I know that a lot of designers, good designers, still use Photoshop for layouts, for app design, for web design. It's still good, but it's very slow. So maybe 1 or 2 years ago, I decided to try Adobe XD because it's a lightweight software. Just to check out if I can do the same quality UI design, but much faster. And I can tell that Adobe XD is very fast. So it's because it's a vector software, which means files is automatically much smaller, and workflow it's much faster. Regarding Adobe XD, tools that we use in this software, it's just basic, but it's just enough to make any UI task that you needs to do. So I will show you how XD looks like, but I can believe that a lot of you already know this. Just a second. Okay, I hope that you can see my screen. Okay, this is Adobe XD. Thing is that the both of software and XD and Photoshop is from the same company, and the good thing that you can use the both in the same time and use the same layers to transfer from Photoshop to XD and the opposite side. So when you open the XD, you can see from the left side. First, you can see that you can choose what kind of design you want to work on. You can see here we have resolution for iPhone X, XR6, and the other. This is for a desktop. Okay, you already know this all. For example, I will open this one. Okay, on the left side, you can see that we have just few different tools, but believe me, it's just enough to make almost everything that you need to design. Okay, I will back on my presentation. Just a second. Okay, this is it. Okay, I already told that it's a lightweight application. It has building prototyping. This is very cool option. Photoshop have this also, but when you prototyping just have XD, not Photoshop, which means you can when you made some design, for example, some website, you can show to your customer how you imagine to work. For example, you can link buttons. For example, you click some button and you can also add the animation and to hyperlink to some other page or something like this. I can show you directly on XD what it look like. Just a second. Okay, first of all, I think I will need to make some simple design just for showing. I think it will take 1 or 2 minutes. Don't bother about bad design now because I have so little time to do this. But the purpose is to show you what is prototyping. Okay, this should be a header part. Okay, from the left side, you already seen that I used rectangle tool for making boxes. This is a common tool that I use all the time for header, for navigation, for call to action boxes and etc. Okay, so let's say logo. Imagine this is a logo type. It's not so beautiful, but it will be okay. Logo here from the right side, you can see that we can choose fonts, alignment, and everything that we also have in the Photoshop. But if you agree in XD, it's much simpler. So, okay, for example, okay, logo, let's say, okay, let's say this is a logo. Sorry. And now you can see that it's very fast. Okay, let's make some navigation. Home. Okay. I already prepared some photos for this. Also very good thing, it's masking. For example, now you have a header here, slider path, this rectangle. In Photoshop, maybe you should need 2 or 3, 4 steps to make a mask. But in this case, you just do like this. And this is it. For example, if you want some other shape, not a rectangle, you can make your own, for example. And do the same thing and like this. So I was a little bit fast. I successfully lose my image. Okay, it does matter. But back on the prototype. Okay, for example, this is one page. For example, it's a home page. We very easily can, okay, let's say home page here. We can very easily copy this page and make some other page. I don't know, let's say services. So let's add a little bit of text. Okay, I know it's not so beautiful, but it was not the idea now, just for showing what is prototyping. Okay, we have this navigation. And for example, we want, if we click here, it will hyperlink to this page. So how we can do this? We have here on the top, we have these 3 tabs: design, prototype, and share. Later, I will explain what is why we need share button. It's very useful, but let's say now we will do about prototyping. For example, if we click here, it will send us here. On the right side, we can choose what kind of transition we want, what animation. For example, let's say we want slide up, and okay. Here on a play button, we can preview our design, like now. Okay, now if we click here, you get this next screen. It's very useful if you want to show to your customer how you imagine that application should work, or a website and something like this. Okay, we will back on this. I will back on my presentation now. Okay, I hope that you can see this. So, share to developers. This is option that maybe I like the most. For example, in Photoshop, when you made some web design, first you must think how you will export all assets, including fonts, images, graphics, everything that some developer can use to code a website. So for Photoshop, we have, I know, for 1 or 2 plugins that you should install, and to the InVision website, you can export PSD file for a developer that he can download the font and see gaps, spacings, everything he needs to make a CSS file and etc. But this also takes time. Now I will show you in XD how this is working. Much easier, I think, for a designer as well as for a developer. Okay, I will put some graphic elements just to show you what I think. We back to design. Okay, for example, I will make here 3 boxes. By the way, I can show you tools that we can use to make to look. Here on the right side, you can see that we can change fill color, border. You can change a size of a border. For example, okay, I want this color to be, I don't know, gray or but white. I don't want to have a border, but I want to have a shadow. Here you can adjust these options to make shadow to look like you want, you see. Also, you can around the corners like this. If you double click, you can change shape of this box. Basically, you can do everything you want. Okay, let's say we have this box, this and this. You also can see that it automatically makes the same space between graphic elements. Okay, I will group this. On the top right side, you can see we have aligning options. Okay, for example, I want this, that. Okay, the purpose of this that I have done. Okay, also it should be good if I make some different headline, different font for a slider. Okay, this is some slide. I want some other font here, for example, impact. Okay. On the left side, you can see that we have style assets. We have colors, character styles, and components. It's very useful. For example, you have this font, you just put here. If you want to save color for future using, you can also just click on shape, colors. Okay, we have this. Imagine that we finish our design and we want to share to developer that they can start developing a website. All we need is just to go to share, and in view setting, we choose development. Click here, create link. In just 2 clicks, you do the same thing that you should do in a Photoshop in 20 links. And it takes just few seconds to finish. Okay, now we have this link, and we just need to send this link to the developer, and he just open it, like I will do now. And now you can see that on the right side we have, I don't know if you can see, we have this button, and from here you can see almost all you need as a developer. You can see what viewport size we used. You can download assets directly. You can see what colors we used, what fonts, and etc. If a developer wants to check space between, for example, this headline and this, it's very easy. You just need to click on both things, and you have all you need. On the right side, you can see all this stuff like letter spacing, color, text align, layout properties, and so on. So it's a very useful tool for developers. You don't need to lose much time for export file for development. Okay, let's back on on my presentation again. Repeat grid. It's a very useful thing that I think just this application, just XD, has this option. This is, for example, if you make some block, you don't need to make this all over again. You just need to, okay, I will show you. I think it's better. Okay. Okay, let's say we have this and we want to put some text. It's some kind of block. Let's make page a little bit bigger in height. Let's say here I want to put some image. Okay, faces. And for example, I want to have this multiple times. I don't need to do this and copy like this. It's just enough to group this, in this case, two elements, this paragraph and this photo. Go to repeat grid and just do like this. Now, for example, you want to change font. When you change here, it automatically change in all three blocks. This can be very useful. For example, if you have a big website and you don't want to lose so much time for editing block by block. In this case, you do this in a second, in the same time. It's a very useful thing that you also don't have in a Photoshop. Okay. I will back on a presentation just to remind myself. Okay, Artboards. Okay, I already show you how much faster if you make multiple Artboards in a XD. For example, if I do the same in a Photoshop, it will be much slower, and you can do. Okay. You can do your design much slower. Regarding assets panel, I already show you this. It's on the left side in XD. This is colors you use, fonts and graphic elements and so on that you can just click and you can change in multiple places. Okay, let's go forward. Why Adobe XD is better solution? Okay, I think that I already told a lot of things why I think XD is a better solution than Photoshop. It's vector-based. Okay, I think you understand all this. A good thing that you can use SVG vector files just to import in XD, and you can directly change a color. You can change dimension and everything you can imagine. Okay, it's a lightweight, which means you can also, I think, install this app in some much slower configuration. Publishing. Yes, I just remind myself the best thing I ever seen in regarding design in the last time is that you can use XD for previewing mobile design directly on your phone in real time. For example, you are making some design for a responsive for phone. You are not sure if content is small or big, or you just can't know until you test on your device. So XD implemented this option. You just need to install on your phone XD application and connect via USB cable to your computer, so you can directly preview design from XD to your phone. For example, you want to change some text or the color, you can directly see on phone, which is very good. And you don't lose time also. And the quality is the same. It doesn't matter if you work in Photoshop or XD, it's the same thing, but much faster. Okay, easy character and color editing. I think I already talked about this. User-friendly, I think you realize that XD is very user-friendly. It's very simple app. Instead of Photoshop, that you have a lot of options and a lot of plugins and the rest. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Using Photoshop as part of UI design. Okay, I will talk from my own experience, how I use Photoshop and when. Photoshop, it's not a layout software, and it was never planned to be for layouts. Instead of XD, which is designed for using just for making UI layouts. But Photoshop is good when you have some image, you can't edit that image in XD, and in that case you use Photoshop just for editing. I do this, and when I finish this, I just copy image, paste into XD, and that's it. Photoshop can be very useful if you want to make some a little bit complicated graphic design, and later you just you just copy and paste into your layout in XD. Conclusion. From my own experience, when I start to use XD, I think that I finish my web projects maybe 5 or 6 times faster, with better or the same quality as I used to do in Photoshop before. So in my opinion, I will recommend to use Photoshop also, but not for layouts. It's a good for making this styled headlines. If you want to put some gradients, drop shadows, I don't know, there is a lot of styles. For this part, it's very good, but for the other things like prototyping, sharing to development, to everything else, I deeply recommend using XD. So you can try, and maybe you will free it's a bet or not, but from my own experience, I think that XD can be much more useful for this than Photoshop. Okay, I think that I told you all. Maybe I forgot something, but this is it. Okay, thank you for attending this conference. I wish you the best, and bye.